Hello and welcome back to BS Rugby, and the Autumn Internationals are upon us, and the first game is Scotland against Tonga, and I'm joined by a Scotsman here. I'm joined by Dan from Stuck in the Scrum. Dan, how are you doing? You looking forward to this weekend?
I'm all right, mate. How are you? Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's the first time we're going to get to see international rugby for a long, long time.
And let's talk about Scotland going into this one. As you mentioned then, in the summer, the tour was cancelled due to COVID and the pandemic. Where do you think this squad is after the Six Nations? What will be the hopes and the goals going into this autumn international? Because you've got some tough fixtures ahead of you.
Yeah, publicly and what they say behind closed doors are two separate things. I mean, publicly, I think most people would take, 2 wins and 2 losses, as long as, a bigger scalp was taken. I think realistically where Scotland are in the cycle to a World Cup and the ages of all the players, they would be aiming for at least 3 out of 4. I think anything less personally would be a bit of a disappointment. I mean, after the last Six Nations just gone, Scotland will see that as the one that got away from them. I mean, they lost twice, and both games that they lost, one of them they lost by 1 point. I think the other one they lost by about 3. So it's been a long time since we've seen any silverware in Edinburgh. After watching that last one get away with us, I think Scotland should realistically be looking to show that they're back competing again.
Yeah, just to remind folks who may not be aware, so Scotland obviously start with Tonga this week. That's the team, the game we're going to be previewing in just a second, but they also then face Australia the following weekend, then welcome South Africa, and then finish off with Japan. And let's focus then on Tonga. Tonga, obviously, a team very historic in the rugby world. They tend to have big players, but very free-flowing rugby. They love to play that kind of game. But there are obviously issues with Tongan rugby at the minute. Don't want to get too much into the politics of it, but it seems that a lot of their players aren't available for this game, maybe due to the pandemic, financial reasons potentially. There's a lot of names in this squad that we do not recognise. So when I do go through the team, if I butcher a few names, I do apologise. But let's have a look at the Scotland squad that's been picked by Gregor Townsend. I'll run through it, and then Dan, you can have your say on it and let me know what you make of it. If we start then at fullback, we have Darcy Graham starting at fullback with Kyle Steyn playing there alongside Rufus McLean. Sione Tupelotu plays at the centre with Sam Johnson. That's a Glasgow partnership right there. Ali Price at 9 with Blair Kinghorn at 10. In the front row then, Pierre Schumann, George Turner and Xander Fagerson, with Jamie Hodgson at lock alongside Rob Harley. Jamie Ritchie is captain at 6. The mullet man, no more the mullet man actually, Hamish Watson is at 7 with Matt Fagerson at 8. Leaving a bench then of Stuart McAnally, Jamie Batty, Ollie Kebble, Marshall Sykes, Luke Crosby, Nick Haining, Jamie Doby and Ross Thompson. When that team was announced, Dan, what was your immediate reaction? There's a lot of inexperience in that team, isn't there?
Yeah, I had really mixed feelings about it. Part of me wanted to see more debutants, and the other part of me sort of was baffled by some of the choices. I know Gregor's been known for some wild squad announcements in the past, but this one's a little bit out there. Obviously, I mean, the big shocker would be Blair Kinghorn playing at 10. Blair Kinghorn, sometimes I forget how young he is. I think he's only about 23, 24. He's already got about 25 caps for Scotland. And he can play all around the back line, well, not scrum half, but he can play anywhere else. Don't know why he's been played at 10, though. So I think at the 10 that Scotland we've got Finn Russell, we've got Adam Hastings there for backup. And we've even got players, I don't know, Kinghorn isn't, I don't think at 10 ever going to boot out Russell or Hastings. And we've got other positions where you could play. I mean, I would have expected him to play at fullback because for Scotland, after Stuart Hogg, we don't really have anyone outside of that. But look, they obviously know something. behind closed doors that we're not seeing. So I hope it works out for him and not just like when Hogg played at 10 as an experiment, why not? Rufus McLean. Rufus McLean, really exciting. He was on fire last year. He's carried it on to this season again, but he looks a lot bigger now. He's put on a lot of muscle. He's not slowed down a step. He's just as fast, even if not faster than he's been. Sam Johnson, we know what he can do. Have you seen the top they had him wear for the photo shoot? It looks like it was Pierre Schumann's top if it was too big for him. It's almost like a mum giving someone a top. Here's your big brother's old top, and it's just a little kid standing in it. But, Sam Johnson, he looks like to be rekindling his form that he did a couple of years ago. It's good to see him get game time. Sione Atulupo, he has been phenomenal.
Talk to me about him. For those who don't know, obviously he's joined Glasgow, Scottish qualified.
The good old Scottish granny.
What would he bring to the game?
He's big, he's powerful. For those of you that don't watch sort of the club rugby, the day in and day out stuff, he used to play the Japanese league and he tore up over there, got brought to Glasgow because he was Scottish qualified. And he's big, he's fast, he's powerful, and his ball skills are amazing. Great with the offloads, fast reflexes, really, really hard to stop. And Scotland seem to be gathering now a lot of big players, a lot of like big backs as well. I don't know if you've got like a 2-on-2 or a 2-on-1, how you stop it. If you've got someone like Sione running at you and you've got Duhan van der Merwe on his outside, they're pretty fast, powerful players. I mean, for those who haven't seen him before, the best way I can describe him, imagine if Duhan van der Merwe played centre. Apart from he's a better passer than what Duhan is. But size-wise, speed-wise, very similar style of player. Kyle Steyn, I'd like to see him play well. I mean, he's on good form for Glasgow as well. And then obviously at fullback, we've got Darcy Graham. No, he's one of my favourite players. I mean, he's on fire for Edinburgh, one of the top scorers in the URC at the moment. He's scoring tries for fun. I'm surprised to see him at fullback, though. Like, the only thing that worries me about him in fullback is you get a big Tongan number 8 breaks the line, and you got Darcy Graham, who's about 5'2" at best, is your last line of defence, which is why I would have probably rather seen Blair Kinghorn in at that 15 position. Darcy Graham's best qualities come in from his attacks, and that's what he's known for. Obviously, I've skipped out Ali Price at 9. He's starting. I think it's more to give him some game time for the big tests. I would expect to see Jamie Dobby come in for him at some point during the game to get his first cap as well. He looks to be the next line in a succession of great scrum halves that Scotland have had over the years. Pierre Schumann, he is. I don't care where he was born. He is the most Scottish person I've ever seen. I mean, if anyone hasn't, take a look at Pierre Schumann's Instagram page. He's in kilts, tartan trousers, a whole lot. He's really, since he's come to Edinburgh, I think 5 years ago now, really embraced the Scottish culture. And I think I've lived away long enough to say he's probably more Scottish than I am. But the size of him, I have been dying to see him get his Scotland call up for ages. He's going to be great in those driving mauls, which I think Scotland's already got a good driving maul, but just add his weight, his power behind it at the set piece. Jamie Hodson, young 21-year-old, plays for Edinburgh. Really, really, 23 actually, I think he is. Good prospect. I'm really, really excited to see him play. Rob Harley, he's been playing for Glasgow for a lot of years. He's a consistent player. Personally, I thought he was past it, but look, he's proved me wrong. He's that sort of player where I thought he's like a top level club player, and he's a big player for Glasgow, and he would fit into most teams. I think even in the Premiership or in the URC, but I didn't think he ever had that spark that one of the Gray brothers would. But, you know, he stepped up. Hamish Watson's first game back since the Lions tour as well, so he's going to be throwing himself straight into it. Get some game time under his belt as well before we go on to, you know, South Africa or Australia. And the same goes for Matt Fagerson.
The one big surprise for me from this squad, as you said, was Kinghorn at 10. Are you surprised that Ross Thompson hasn't been given the start?
Yeah. Honestly,
He's been playing very well.
Yeah, and Ross Thompson at 10 is the future going forward, because Finn Russell's getting on now a little bit. I mean, I know he's still around, he's about 29 or 30. So he'll still sort of be at his peak or thereabouts for the next World Cup. But after that, you'd think it's going to be Hastings and Ross Thompson.
So here is the Tonga team to take on Scotland. James Pfeiffer plays out fullback with Atu Manu and Walter Fafita on the wing. Malitoa Sulu Hingano and Vea Tutula Vea play at the centres. At 10, then Kurt Morath starts at 10 with Sonatane Tukalua at scrum half. In the front row, Lonnie Eula, Mali Nunguamo and David Lolea play in the front row. At lock, we have Leva Vivita, Stefano Funaki. In the back row, then, we have Tanginoa Halofuona, Fotu Lokatua and Valentino Mapamalangi playing at 8. That leaves a bench then of Sia Miley, Jethro Falimi, Tamakano Taufu, Daniel Falefa, Onehunga Havili, Mateka Kafatolu, Isa Hilo, and Navarro Hasila. As you can probably tell from our reactions, we don't really know any names on that squad. The main name really for me that's missing would be someone like a Sione Kalamafoni, who plays for Scarlets, who has been fantastic for the region and a really tough start for them. His ability to carry the ball and get over the gain line is something very impressive. And we know how Tonga are going to want to play. We know they want the game to open up, which is kind of how Scotland wants to play. So it's two styles potentially that are very similar in the way they want to play. Maybe Scotland with that a little bit more structure, you'd think. But they both want to throw the ball about. They both want to express themselves. Tell me 3 things you think that Scotland need to get right against Tonga, because we're both expecting you to win. I'll get a final score prediction at the end. But what are 3 things that Scotland need to get right if you're going to get a good win over this Tonga side?
I mean, I know 3 things that Scotland have to get right in general, but over this Tonga side, I mean, they'd have to win by a fair margin. I mean, you don't want a close game. I mean, Scotland want to prove that, you know, they're nowhere near the standard that Italy are. Like, no respect to them. I think their scrums will be a good test for them. Their forward pack, they'll want to get that right. They're going to want to dominate there. So their line-outs, I think Scotland are going to kick a lot for possession. I saw their set plays, their line-outs, their kicking game, their scrummaging. I think there are going to be some key things that Scotland are going to focus on against Tonga.
Yeah, I think if you can nail the basics in this game, and then you can look to use as a platform for the next 3 games, especially the next 2, which are going to be a lot more of a challenge. And finally, then, this is it. It's what we've all been waiting for. What is your score prediction for this game? I'll give you mine first. I'm going to say Scotland 36-10. 36-10.
I'm going to say 40 points to about 14 or 12. 14-40 or 40-14.
So a comfortable win for Tonga, is it then? Comfortable win for Tonga?
Yeah, of course. Tonga going to run away with it.
Yeah, I think Scotland will put Tonga to bed pretty comfortably. But there we go. Thank you, folks, for watching this preview of Scotland against Tonga. Make sure to go check out Stuck in the Scrum. It's fantastic. Not only Facebook page, but a Facebook group, a place to chat all things rugby. Be link in the description down below. Hit the subscribe button here, and we'll see you again very soon.